Once there was a man who had 2 sons. The elder, Hugh, was smart, capable, and always ready to help. The younger, Anders, was slow to understand and rarely did anything useful. Whenever their father needed something done at night, Hugh sometimes refused, saying, "Oh no, father, I can't go out now. It gives me the shivers." But Anders would just listen and say, "I don't get it. What does it mean to shiver from fear?" One day their father said to Anders, "You're grown now. You're strong. You must learn a skill and find work. Look at your brother. He works hard while you sit idle." "Father," Anders replied earnestly, "I do want to learn something. I want to learn how to shiver from fear." Hugh burst out laughing. "What a fool you are. You'll never amount to anything." The father shook his head. "That's not something worth learning, and you won't find a job for it." A few days later, a priest came to visit. Hearing of Anders's strange wish, the priest said, "Send him to me. I'll teach him." So Anders moved into the priest's house. He was taught to ring the church bell every day. One night, the priest decided to scare him into learning fear. He dressed in white, went to the belfry, and stood silently at the top of the stairs. When Anders came up to ring the bell, he saw the figure and called, "Who's there?" No reply. "Speak or get out of my way. I have work to do." Still nothing. "Fine, if you won't move, I'll push you down." The priest thought Anders was bluffing, until Anders shoved him down the stairs. The priest landed hard, breaking his leg. Later, his wife questioned Anders. "Where's my husband?" "I don't know," Anders replied, "but someone in white wouldn't answer me, so I threw him down the stairs." Outraged, she told Anders's father, who scolded his son. "I've had enough of your foolishness. Leave this house." "All right, father," Anders said calmly. "I'll go and learn to shiver." His father, not entirely heartless, gave him some money and told him not to reveal who his father was. Anders wandered off, repeating to himself, "If only I could learn to shiver." Soon he passed a tree where 7 men hung by the neck. Another man approached, thinking Anders looked simple-minded. "Want to learn fear? Stay here tonight under that tree. By morning, you'll have learned it." Anders agreed, lit a fire, and seeing the bodies swaying in the cold wind, cut them down and placed them by the flames. They didn't move, so he pushed them closer, and their clothes began to catch fire. "Fools! You'll burn yourselves," he scolded, and hung them back on the tree before lying down to sleep. In the morning, the man returned. "Well, did you shiver?" "No," Anders said. Those men didn't speak a word. He went on, still longing to learn fear. Another man overheard and offered, for all of Anders's money, to send him to a haunted castle where anyone who survived 3 nights would win the king's daughter and a fortune in gold. Anders eagerly agreed. The king allowed him to bring 3 things. Anders chose a fire, a lathe, and a knife, ignoring the king's suggestion of an axe. On the first night, as Anders warmed himself, 2 enormous black cats with blazing red eyes appeared, asking to play cards. He examined their claws and, suspecting mischief, threw them out the window into the moat. Soon more cats and dogs attacked. He fought them off until midnight, when they vanished. Spotting a bed, Anders climbed in, but it began moving around like an insect. "Faster," he laughed, until it flipped over on top of him. Annoyed, he shoved it aside and slept by the fire. The king, visiting at dawn, was amazed he was alive. "Were you afraid?" "Not at all. But I didn't learn to shiver." The second night, half a man fell from the ceiling. Then the other half joined it, forming a whole grim figure. Anders gave up his chair to no one and pushed the man off. They began bowling with leg bones and skulls, but Anders disliked how poorly the skulls rolled, so he used his lathe to make them perfectly round. They played until midnight, when everything disappeared. The king returned. "Well, no fear yet, just a good game of bowling." On the third night, 6 tall men carried in a coffin. Inside was a corpse Anders decided was his cousin. He tried to warm the body by the fire, then in bed. The man came alive and threatened to eat him. Anders threw him back in the coffin, which the 6 men carried away. Then an old man with a long white beard appeared. "Now you will know fear, for I will kill you." Anders scoffed. "You don't look strong." "I'll prove it. Break this stone as I do." The old man split a rock with an axe. Anders did the same, then trapped the man's beard between the stone halves. Helpless, the old man begged for release, offering to show Anders the gold. In a hidden room there were 3 chests, one for the poor, one for the king, and one for Anders. At midnight the old man and the light vanished. Anders returned to his fire and slept. When the king heard the story the next morning he said, "You've done it. You stayed all 3 nights. You shall marry my daughter." Anders married the princess and lived happily, but still complained daily. "If only I knew how to shiver." One night, his wife, exasperated, fetched a bucket of icy water from the river and dumped it on him as he slept. Anders slept up gasping, "Oh, that makes me shiver. That's what it feels like." At last he had learned.